Today I'm answering a question for Eddie. Eddie's a student of ours. He trains at North Rocks. He's a 15-year-old. He's a practitioner 3 level, which is the equivalent of an orange belt in other systems, and he's really passionate. And he's asking, is Krav Maga useful for policing and other interactive jobs? What he means by interactive jobs, I believe, is things like military, law enforcement, and security. And the answer to that is yes. Krav Maga was developed for the military, for the Israeli Defense Forces. It was developed to teach people how to defend themselves in the shortest time possible, and ultimately it provides a very strong framework for someone to be able to defend themselves, keep themselves safe, and be able to get home safely. That's the goal. We want everyone, whether you're a civilian or whether you work in policing or military or whatever you do, we want you to get home safe. But obviously the goals of a police officer or someone in the military is different. When you're on the job, if you're a cop, okay, your job is to be able to solve conflict, to be able to handle yourself with confidence, and ultimately, if conflict escalates, to be able to defend yourself, to defend others, and to be able to restrain and control someone. On the battlefield, it could become a situation where you need to restrain and control and capture someone, but it could also be that you need to terminate the enemy. So you can see how in different jobs, different Krav Maga would be required. For a police officer, you would need to have skills in weapon retention, weapon disarming. You'd obviously need the basics. The basic framework is where it starts. You'll need multiple attackers. You'll need the basic defenses for kicks, punches, chokes, grabs, so on and so forth. All of those things can happen in a policing role, okay? But at the same time, we need to be able to do those other things that I mentioned, the restraints, the controls, and so on and so forth. So typically a police officer comes to us, or someone within the other sectors, they come to us and they're either working in the industry or they want to work in the industry. Now, they need to get the basics first. The basics, the kicks, the punches, the principles, the awareness, the ability to prevent, the ability to be able to handle themselves. The basic framework, the basic recipe needs to be taught to everyone. You can't bypass it. Unless you've got a skill set in another martial art that handles all of these areas, you can't bypass it, all right? But ultimately then what we do is add on the layers, and these layers can come through specialist training, or it can come simply because you've been training in Krav Maga for a long time. For example, if you train at Krav Maga systems, as you get to the higher levels, you'll start to learn about restraining and controlling. You'll start to learn about weapon retention. You'll start to learn about, for example, pistol disarms and so on and so forth. So it becomes relative to your experience and to your level. All right, we would definitely not teach these things to people who just walk in that we don't know and trust, but ultimately we provide the framework for a basic student, regardless of whether they're a civilian or not, to learn these skills, and for someone to come in, learn the framework, and then add to the framework. So I'll keep it simple, Eddie. The answer is yes. It's really important, I think, for everyone to learn, and ultimately you're on the right track, because I know you want to be a police officer. You've already developed a basic framework, and by the time you're there, you'll have the skills, or you'll have elevated skills. I'm more than confident that your skills will be elevated over your peers, and that you'll be able to really excel in that role. So good on you, mate. Thank you.